This is a tutorial for the Appendix B Lab. Students will need to read these instructions, but make note here, it says use references in Excel, use simple formulas in Excel, and prepare a statement of cash flows in good form. It also says down here, all items should be entered as references or formulas. Do not type in any numbers or you will lose credit. There are, however, a couple of exceptions here. The auto sum function can be found in the Home tab, and this is what the auto sum function looks like. And it can also be found in formulas, and it looks just like this here. Let's begin. The first item, we're going to have to enter net income, and we're going to have to add back depreciation, and we're going to follow the rules for adding or subtracting items. For this, you're going to have to use the practice we did in class, and students will need to use the ebook. Now let's do a cell reference and make mention of it here. We'll start with net income. So we're going to hit the equal sign, choose the name net income, and hit enter. Come over here, hit the equal sign, and choose the number for net income, and hit enter. The second item we're going to add is the depreciation expense. We're going to hit the equal sign. We're going to choose depreciation expense. We're going to hit the equal sign, and we're going to choose depreciation expense number. Now for this part, we need to get the changes in the current assets and the current liabilities. So what students should do, and you will do this in the real world, is you'll go to the balance sheet, which will likely be downloaded to Excel so you can manipulate it. We'll hit the equal sign, and we'll choose the current year, but wait, put a minus and choose the prior year. And we've returned the difference. Now, here's the thing. While this does give you the difference in cash, many students were making it the answer for down here, which is not the answer. It's good as proof, but it's not how we get the answer. Okay? But now we take this formula, we'll drag it down, and we'll get rid of the items, at least that don't return a value. And what I would suggest doing is you're going to highlight the current assets and the current liabilities that are applicable to this cash flow statement. Now, the rules for including the information for current assets, if we have an increase, which we do here, we're going to subtract it from net income. If we have a decrease, we add it back. So we'll go here, and for this, we'll actually want to type in increase in accounts receivable. Right? And then increase in inventories. Right? Which, since we have an increase, it's going to be included as a subtraction. Right? And we can actually drag this formula down, and it's going to pull this. Now let's go to accounts payable. On the opposite side, accounts payables, or the current liabilities, if there's an increase, you add it back. If there's a decrease, you subtract it. So we're going to do increase in accounts payable and increase in income tax payable. Then what we need to do now is sum all of these up for this box. So we'll go to the auto sum, and we'll choose these items here, and we'll hit enter. Now let's go to the cash flows from investing activities. Here we're going to use items where we made an investment. So we're going to look at our change in equipment. Now, when we get down to the investing and financing activities, the rules are actually direct. We don't do the same rule, or we don't use the same rules that we use in the operating activity section. So for instance, if we purchase equipment for $36,000, we would type in, and you're going to have to look at your book for these items, but in the book it says cash payment for acquisition of plant assets. We've already gotten the difference for the equipment up here, so we can hit the equal sign, put a minus in because it's a cash payment, and choose the number. And then we'll sum this up. In this case, there's only one number, so we could do a cell reference, hit the equal sign, choose the amount. Now the cash flows from financing activities. When you look at the book, the description they give is cash receipt from issuance of common stock. Right here, we issued 12,000 shares of common stock for $5 per share. So cash receipt, right? In this case, you cannot enter a cell reference, so you can hit the equal sign. You issued it, which means you received the cash, so it's going to be a positive number, so we're going to say 12,000 times 5. You could also come up here and do the same thing. Now in this case, you will have the ability to include a cell reference. Declared and paid 89,000 in cash dividends, a cash outflow, right? So cash payment of dividends, okay? And if you want to, you could also create a cell reference section for you. Right? Say equals minus 89,000. We'll need to sum this up, choose these two items, and hit enter. Now the next item says net cash used in financing. That is the sum of these three items. Many students were taking the change. This can only be used as proof if you did something like this, right? You can't take the number directly from here. You need to make sure that these are correct and they sum the 57,000. So you can use the auto sum, or you can do it individually as well, right? You could just say equals, choose the first amount, do a plus sign, choose the second amount, do a plus sign, and choose the third amount, hit enter, and you have 57,000, which equals this here. So we know we're on the right track. We can use a cell reference to get the cash balance for the prior year, the 107,000, and then we will need to sum these two numbers up to arrive at this answer. And note here it says do not use a cell reference to get this total. Many students get this wrong and the whole sheet wrong because the data that would total the amounts above were entered incorrectly by the students. So let's sum these two up. Do an auto sum, and we'll hit enter. And now we're done. And look, the 164 does equal the cash balance in the current year. Now, I do want to show you why it's important to do this section correctly. So if we did it the way some students did this, we would say, okay, well, this equals 57,000. This one, of course, you're taking from above, and this one equals this 164. Now, watch this. All right, look at that, I'm entering all these numbers incorrectly. And, oh, I guess it must be right because all of these match up here. That is not accurate. Do not do that. This concludes this tutorial. Good luck.